Margaret and I too would wish to add my voice and that of Sinn Féin in sympathy to the family of David Amess, and as his family no doubt grieve a very traumatic and sudden loss. I too hope that the well wishes and the regards from this House, but right across the world, in fact, bring them some small comfort. So to his wife Julie and to his children and their wider family, we send our sincere condolences. And of course, the job of public service and public representation is all about people. It's all about being up close and sometimes very personal with people. And so his loss sends a shockwave through not just the British system, but internationally. And for all of us who are proud to be elected and represent our citizens, we share too in the shock, I'm sure, of the constituents of South and West, David's constituency, who I have no doubt are equally traumatised, shocked and saddened by his loss. Oireachtas go raibh ann.
Thank you very much, Laskin Corla. On behalf of the Labour Party, I wish to express my sincerest condolences to the Amess family and to all of Sir David's colleagues. When I heard this chilling news last Friday, my immediate thought was it could have been us. It could have been any of us. At the same time, David was attacked last Friday. Most of us were doing the very same thing he was, representing and serving our constituents in our regular Friday clinics. And the killing of David Amess reminds us all of the brutal murder of our UK Labour colleague, Joe Cox, just 5 short years ago. David Amess should not have died like this in the course of his work as a public representative. No public representative or no public servant should ever have to die like this. And the genesis of the kind of hate that led to this brutal killing, I think, needs to be reflected on by all of us. This country is not immune. Our national parliament, these houses, has a role in dialing down division. And how we behave in here and online is watched. Good example, being able to debate ferociously but disagree respectfully needs to be shown more here. Too often, our standards fall short. May David Amess rest in peace.
Social Democrats, Catherine Murphy.
Thank you. On behalf of the Social Democrats, I want to express our sincere sympathies to the Amess family and what is a huge personal tragedy for them. The murder of David Amess is also an attack on democracy, just as the murder of Joe Cox was. There's no doubt we live in a much more divided and unequal world, and that there's been a coarsening of political discourse, which I think has made politics all the more toxic. But there's a line has been crossed here, and we can't go looking for excuses, because there are no excuses for what happened to David Amess. I believe we'll all be united in our condemnation of his murder, and we all know just how essential it is for us to have that interaction with our constituents, whether it's in the UK or here, and that should always continue to be the case.
Solidarity, People Before Profit.
Laskin Corla, on behalf of People Before Profit, I want to extend my our deepest sympathies to his wife, to his daughters, to his family, friends and constituents. To be murdered in that way is really horrific, terrible and tragic. And it certainly should give us all pause for reflection. And I think the thing, as others have alluded to, is that it is, whatever about political differences and the need for robust debate, a critical part of our democracy is our ability to engage with our constituents. I think about some countries where public representatives have to be flanked by heavy security all the time, and we never want to go down that road. And I think we have to preserve that relationship, even though, you know, things can get tense at times. We want to preserve that relationship, and I think we have to fight to maintain that relationship with our constituents through our clinics. And as terrible and tragic as this is, not let this tragedy undermine that relationship that I think public representatives have to maintain with their constituents and those who elect them.
Thank you. The regional group. Dr. Berry.
It's Laskin Corla, and on behalf of the region group, I would like to echo the sentiments of the attitudes that were expressed here already today and convey my deepest sympathies to David Amess's family and to his friends. I think the lesson I draw from how he lived his parliamentary life is that it's perfectly okay to disagree with somebody while still maintaining a very professional and courteous relationship. And those two states are perfectly compatible, and they can coexist quite happily. I think there's probably a lesson in that for all of us. While I fully appreciate his family must be utterly devastated at the moment, I think in the fullness of time, I would like to think that they can draw some semblance of comfort from the fact that he died with his boots on, doing the job he loved, surrounded by the people he loved, which are his constituents. And I think we should not amend our constituency practices. And I think that's what Sir David would like us to do, and that's the best way to respond, and that's the best way to honour his memory. Thank you very much.
The rural independence.
In the absence of Deputy Matthew McGrath, on behalf of the Rural Independent Group, we would like to offer our sincerest sympathies to Sir David Amess's family, his constituents, and indeed to the whole political system that has been rocked by this shocking attack on democracy, because that is what it is. I would just like to draw the illusion of whether it's a person driving a lorry working for a local authority, whether it's a taxi driver, whether it's any person going about their role, their function in life, or whether you're a politician. Every person, it's one of the saddest things that can ever happen is that a person dies doing their work. It's a terrible, sad thing to happen. But to die so unnecessary in this way, it's a shocking attack, and that's why we all have to unite and use this opportunity, Taoiseach, to say that enough is enough when it comes to the type of slippery slope we've gone down over the last number of years with online attacks. Things have been said about women in politics, about men in politics, and we seem to have grown to accept that just because you're anonymous online, that you can say whatever you like about a person just because they're a politician. I don't think that's right, and I think that this might be a time for us to stand up and show the rest of Europe that we're not going to take that type of nonsense lying down, and that politicians should stand up for themselves and say, we will not take that type of abuse because we're there to serve. We want to continue to serve. We want to keep the link with people. The clinics are so important. It's so terribly important to be able to go out and meet people, sit down with them, listen to groups, and nobody ever wants to see that connection being broken.
The independent group. Marion Harkin.
That's Ken Corla. On behalf of the independent group, I wish to extend our sincere sympathy to the family and friends and constituents of the late Sir David Amess MP. To his wife Julia, his daughters and son, we say, we stand in solidarity with you to recognise and remember a man who, in your own words, you describe as strong and courageous, a patriot and a man of peace. The brutal murder of David Amess was a senseless and shocking act. The context in which it occurred matters very much, and while it must be noted, its discussion is for another day. Today, in our expression of sympathy, we recognise a man for whom representative democracy was just that, representing his constituents and what mattered in their lives in the House of Commons. He used his platform as an MP to raise awareness and bring about change. And that change was firmly rooted, not in some abstract ideological perspective. Rather, it came from listening, from being available, and from finding ways to translate the needs of his constituents into policy change or legislative change. Like many in this House, I didn't know David Amess or his family, but I hope their pain will be slightly lessened by the fact that the tribute we pay to him are real meaningful and based on a lifetime of service. Oireachtas go raibh anam dílis.
Good morning, agus suvnis shiri da anam, and I think it is appropriate maybe to have a minute's silence.